I'm so excited to present you this 2021 Acura NSX that I decided to match my outfit to the vehicle. But anyways, I have this car with me for a couple of weeks courtesy of my good friend Ray, who always allows me to take his cool cars for an extended spin. But today I wanted to share with you my thoughts on what it feels to own a car like this, to daily drive it. We're going to take a look at it on the outside, on the inside, do a couple of launch controls, and then maybe you'll help me decide if this is a car that I could potentially own one day, or could this be a car that should sway people's buying decisions away from a 911 or maybe an Audi R8 towards this vehicle. In case you didn't know, this car is a hybrid. In the middle here, it's got a 3.5 liter twin turbocharged V6, but also it has an electric motor here and two electric motors in the front powering the front wheels. The electric motors provide 73 horsepower. The gasoline motor provides 500 horsepower for a combined horsepower rating of 573 horsepower. 0 to 60, 2.7 seconds. Price tag of this car? $170,000. And yeah, $170,000 is a lot of money, but on top of the performance, you also get warranty with this car. For the battery and the electric motors, 8 years, 100,000 miles. For the engine, 6 years and 70,000 miles. On top of that, you'll be one of the most unique cars on the road because, for example, in 2016, Acura sold 279 examples of this vehicle in the US and 0 in Europe, for example. And in 2020, only 128 examples were sold in the US and only 8 in Europe. Take a look at why this vehicle is. I'm not talking about the mirrors. I'm talking about, for example, these cheeks. These cheeks look massive, and you've got these really cool vents in between those cheeks. Usually there's an Acura logo here, but since this car is clear wrapped, he took it off and he didn't put it back on. In the front, we've got a grille, but only a small portion of this grille is actually functional. Everything else here is sort of a fake grille, but it still kind of looks cool. You've got a vent here, you've got vents here, you've got a vent that goes this way and around the wheel. See, it actually exits on this side, and you've got these projector and LED headlights that have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 projectors on each side. This car is running on a staggered wheel setup, so 245, 35, 19 in the front and 305, 30, 20 in the back. Behind the wheels you can see the steel rotors, but you can option this car in carbon ceramics. Above the wheels you've got this functional vent, and then let's take a look at this mirror, because to me this is a very Lambo-esque. Look how cool this rear view mirror looks, especially from this angle. Very, very nice. Then from the side, the door is very long. It doesn't have any carbon fiber on this side, but it's got this rubber strip, which is actually kind of cool. You know me, I'm not a fan of carbon fiber. Then this section is also one of my favorite parts, because not only do you have these massive intakes here, we also have this section here which actually channels the air through or under that blade. So this section actually acts as a spoiler, so it pushes the car down. Speaking of spoilers, you've got this carbon fiber 3-piece spoiler. 3-piece because it's separated by this trunk lid, which we're about to open up. But yeah, see, 1, 2 and 3, and this is the only exterior carbon fiber piece that you'll find on this car. Roof is not carbon fiber, this is gloss black. You can option this vehicle in carbon fiber roof, but this vehicle does not have that option. In the back you've got these taillights that are connected by this lighting strip. Very, very cool. And then at the bottom here you've got these functional vents. You've got this vent here, you've got this vent, although only a small portion of it is functional. You see, only this is functional. Everything above this is actually fake. You've got a very cool looking diffuser and 4 exhaust tips. And then we can open the trunk from the inside, but we have the key, so we're going to open it from the outside and check this out. First thing we notice is obviously this lovely engine, as I mentioned earlier. 3.5 liter V6, that's twin turbocharged. The only sort of sad part is that it's completely covered in these plastics, but you can kind of see this section of the engine here, which you can still, I guess, enjoy. Every engine is individually numbered, or every car is individually numbered. You've got a pretty thick glass above it, and you've got this cutout here for these exhausts. And then the trunk itself is actually very, very deep. You've got these sections here where all this stuff is. You've got this section here and this section that goes really, really deep. But you also have this hump. This hump is to accommodate the exhaust. The way this engine is packaged, one side of the exhaust actually comes out this way, and that's your catalytic converter, which is why you have this hump. And seriously, I cannot unsee this. Centered, 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 not centered. Why isn't this rivet centered? Come on. The owner of this vehicle might kill me when he sees this, but you know what? It was good while it lasted. Check this out. Can I fit in the trunk? I can actually hide my head in that little nook here, but that's about it. Okay, the trunk is pretty shallow, but this thing is mid-engine, so it has to have a trunk. There you go. Yeah, not much of a trunk. Whereas this car's competitors, such as the 911 or maybe even the Audi R8, have front trunks, this car unfortunately does not have it. And to me, from a functionality perspective, it's a bit of a waste of space. Let's get inside and see what's going on. To enter, you press this door handle here and it pops out, very Tesla-esque. First thing you are greeted by is this lack of fancy door sill. Usually when you get these fancy cars, you have this carbon fiber door sill or something that tells you the name of the car. This car doesn't have it. It's sort of nice and plain, but some people like it. What I do like about this car is how beautifully sculpted this door is. Check it out. Look at this nice shape. Everything's very soft leather here. We've got some Alcantara. This is fairly soft. The only thing is the door handle does feel a little flimsy, and this aluminum trim, or rather fake aluminum trim, which is throughout the car, doesn't necessarily match this sporty interior. I would say carbon fiber would look a lot better. Usually on these doors you have cup holders. This car doesn't have it. No cup holders. This is blank here. So if you're looking to store your coffee in the door, you're out of luck. The only thing that you can do is you can put a little cell phone here. That's your cell phone pocket. But as you look inside, this is what you're greeted with. You've got these awesome and huggy leather and Alcantara seats with some deviated stitching right over here. The bolstering on it is fantastic. It's adjustable here, and these seats are extremely comfortable. A lot more comfortable than the R8 seats. And then this whole leather and Alcantara theme continues throughout the interiors. You've got this leather here, you've got Alcantara here, same thing on the dash. This is Alcantara, this is leather. Very, very cool. But as we get in, this is what you are greeted with. You are greeted with this squarish looking steering wheel, and it's squarish on both ends. So it's square up here, sort of flat up here, but it's also squarish when you look at it from this angle. Usually steering wheels are round. This one is actually flat when you grab it. So it's flat here, flat at the bottom. Also, you've got these grips here, and this grip is awesome. I didn't like it at first, but then I realized how awesome it feels, because you just keep your hands here, you never take them off the wheel. You can easily adjust these shifters, which actually do feel great. It's an awesome looking and feeling steering wheel. What's not awesome about the steering wheel is the fact that you have this plain looking airbag. I mean, this looks like an airbag pulled out of a TLX. Nothing's wrong with a TLX, but it should be more premium when you're paying $170,000 for a car like this. And you've got some buttons on the steering wheel, your audio buttons, your cruise control buttons, pretty straightforward. Behind the steering wheel, you've got these digital gauges, which are actually angled very, very sharply like this. Let me show you what they look like. Let me just start it up. And as I wait for it, this is sort of the starting sequence. You get the starting NSX logo on the center screen, and then right in the middle, you've got this massive, very pixelated and dated looking screen with these analog rings, one on each side and one analog ring in the middle. You also here on the side have these manual buttons for screen brightness. Quite odd, and I've got to say I quite like it. I can also change my MPH to kilometers per hour. So if you are traveling to Canada, you can easily press this button, hold it, and it's going to show you here in kilometers instead of miles. Now, speaking of miles, this infotainment system is miles behind the competition. For example, the navigation is this old Garmin navigation interface. All these icons are pretty outdated. The resolution of it is not the highest, and the backup camera is the lowest resolution backup camera I remember. Underneath, you've got the climate buttons, and this is actually quite intuitive. You press this button and it brings up this climate menu. You can increase the fan speed here, you can raise or lower the temperature here, and adjust all kinds of settings or whatnot. Pretty straightforward. Below here, you've got the dynamic mode knob, and what this does is it allows you to change different settings in the car, from quiet mode, sport, sport plus, to track mode. And then below here, if you have ever driven a Honda Odyssey minivan, you realize that this is lifted straight from the minivan, or maybe the other way around. The minivan maybe came after the NSX came out. But seriously, if you're switching from a minivan to this is going to be very, very intuitive. Parking here, reverse, you push this button here, neutral here, forward is this way, and if you want to switch it to manual, you have to hit it again. Simply grabbing a paddle shifter will not put you in manual mode. To put yourself in manual mode, you really just have to press this button. Below here, you've got your electronic parking brake, your brake hold, you've got some tiny storage here, another storage here where your phone could slide, and additional storage up here. You've got USB plug here for your Android Auto and Apple CarPlay. This is what I initially thought was an afterthought, but after living with it for a little while, I've got to say this is a very clever idea. This is a cup holder, and the way you mount it is it simply pops out. You've got this little hole here that it mounts in. There's really no clip here, it just stays in place, but it looks very clean when not in use. But when you do want to use it and it fits into the glove box, you just slide it in here and bam, you've got your cup holders, and it's actually very comfortable because you can easily reach it as you drive. You've got a lot of cool angles here. You've got this beautiful dashboard here. What's quite interesting is this very thick glove box. Look how thick this thing is, quite massive. There's no Alcantara on the roof, just plain fabric roof. The only thing I have to point out is this massive A-pillar that continues all the way down here. Yes, I know it houses an airbag, but it is quite thick. It is quite plasticky feeling. I feel like this could have been at least covered in some sort of fabric. Okay, let's go for a quick spin. So check this out. I'm starting the car. Let's see, do we have enough juice to do that? When I put the car in quiet mode and I put it in parking, a lot of times it leaves in, see, look, I'm in hybrid mode. See, I'm leaving on just battery power. Check this out. I can do about 25 miles an hour on battery power or until the battery is depleted. But look, this is me leaving my house in the morning. Can you imagine doing that? How awesome is this? Look, see, I'm still in quiet mode. The engine is not on. The fans are on in the back, which is what you can hear, but that's it. This is really cool and futuristic looking, but you can of course put it in sport mode, sport plus, and the engine turns on, the exhaust flaps open up, and you've got your sports car. Now, my only gripe is the following. When you put it in manual mode, you put this button here, you obviously can shift with paddle shifters, but it limits you. It gives you a specific range. So for example, I'm in second gear right now, and I want to go into first. Look, I'm pressing first. I cannot go into first. I have to be fully stopped to be able to go into first gear. We're gonna test the launch control first to make sure everything works. So I am in launch control mode, left foot on the brake. Holy moly. 0 to 60, 2.7 seconds. And I do believe it, and it absolutely felt like it. Brakes, on the other hand, I've got to say, if you are buying this car, please option carbon ceramic brakes, because these steel brakes, in my mind, are a bit on the weak side. But oh boy, I mean, do you hear it? And it handles so well. Look at this turn, 72 miles an hour. We're killing it over here. What's cool about this all-wheel drive system is, and you really do notice it, when you're coming out of turns and you're accelerating out of turns, you can feel how the front tires are gripping, because these electric motors have so much torque, so much instantaneous torque, that they pull you out of these turns. Quite different from what you get, let's say, out of a Quattro system. This feels a lot more instantaneous and a lot more sort of powerful and sporty. I can't believe I'm saying sporty about a hybrid, but this is what it feels like. All right, let's try this launch control one last time to make sure everything works. You ready? Left foot on the brake. Oh! What's cool about this hybrid system, unlike, let's say, a PDK or a DCT and a BMW, with this hybrid system, The electric motors propel you in that instance when the car is switching gears. So the gear switching is super smooth. Kind of feels like a CVT, but it's not. I'm telling you, just continue with this power, and that's why you're able to get such crazy 0 to 60 numbers. Oh, fantastic. Love this thing. And speaking of loving this car can be a daily driver because the windshield is big. You've got a lot of visibility left and right because of the fact that the mirrors are sort of extended on these tiny arms. You've got a lot of visibility here when you want to turn into tight streets, and the suspension is very nice and composed. Feels soft when you put it in the soft setting, but it feels super sporty when you put it in the sports setting. I can't believe people are sleeping on this car because this is quite a performance vehicle. Now, is it a performance bargain? I don't think so. For $170,000, there are many cars which I would consider aside from this. I would absolutely consider a version of a 911. I would consider on R8. You know me, how much I love the R8. But this car, when you compare it to all the other vehicles, what this has going for it is it's a lot more unique. I guarantee you that you will not see one on the street almost ever when you drive it, given how many of these cars were sold. So you will feel a lot special driving this car compared to just a regular 911 that everyone has. Oh my God, this acceleration, holy smokes. Woo-hoo. The car has a 9-speed dual clutch transmission, and it feels as good as any other dual clutch transmission, whether in your BMW or a Porsche. It's tuned to perfection, I would say. It shifts gears very fast. The only thing, as I mentioned earlier, it doesn't always allow you to get in gear. But check this out, let's do the quiet mode again. So, when quiet mode, the engine shuts off. See? It's quiet. It's really quiet. Battery powered, come on, battery powered, yes. Super quiet, 10, 12, 15. There you go. When you hit 50 miles an hour, it turns on. But it's still pretty awesome. This car averages 21 miles to the gallon, city and highway on average, and that's the mileage I've been getting. As you drive, and you drive fast, the car sort of wraps around you. You get the sense of how wide it is, how long it is, and you just have so much fun driving it. There's plenty of torque to pull you out of any corner. The car has plenty of grip with this all-wheel drive system, and I've got to say, this is an excellent daily driver. Yes, that's right, this could be a daily driver if you got $170,000 to spare. If I may, I have to mention a couple of things. For example, the exhaust note from that 3.5 liter twin turbocharged V6 is a bit weak on the inside. On the outside, as you drive by, it sounds actually fantastic. Also, the infotainment system. When I'm paying $170,000 for a car, I want the infotainment system to be the latest and greatest. In this one, it feels very, very primitive. But as soon as you hook up your smartphone, Apple CarPlay or Android Auto will pop up, and you should be okay. As we cruise in this quiet mode, let's conclude. So what do you get for $170,000? You get a car that has mind-blowing performance. You get a car that's pretty exclusive in terms of how many numbers were made. You have a car that looks very exotic, but you also have a car that lacks a lot of this technology refinement inside. Would I pay $170K? No, I would pay a little less and still get it, because at the end of the day, you're getting something that's very unique. You're getting something that is quite fun. I mean, you saw my grin earlier in the video, and you're getting something that you're not going to see at the next Cars and Coffee that you go to. I almost guarantee you that you will not. So let me know if this car speaks to you. Let me know what you thought of this video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, consider giving me a thumbs up. And as always, thank you very much for watching, and I'll be seeing you in the next video. Bye bye.